So let's go ahead and get started. Welcome, everyone. My name is Eileen Merberg, and I'm the Executive Director of Alpha Lambda Delta. We are headquartered in the Rochester, New York area, and I'm going to have Rohan introduce himself.
Hey everyone, my name is Rohan Nath. I'm a junior here at USC majoring in cardiovascular technology, and I am the president of Alpha Lambda Delta this year.
Great. Yeah, so we're going to co-present, and I think Weston, there might be another student officer coming, possibly, but feel free to think of questions if you have. We have a pretty brief presentation, standard presentation, just to tell you a little bit about Alpha Lambda Delta, and let's get started. Okay, so obviously we are a National Honor Society, and we're really all about recognizing and helping you continue academic success. So we do career development things to help you recognize and develop goals, and again, to encourage superior academic achievement. That's sort of at our core. We're a lot more than that, but that's sort of our mission. We've been around a long time. Next year will be 100. So we'll have a big centennial celebration next year. We're technically at over 400 institutions, chapters around the world. But about 300 or so are active. You know, they come and go. South Carolina's chapter has always been consistently very active. We induct about 20,000 students every year. Again, the South Carolina chapter has historically been one of our larger chapters. We're going to talk in a minute about legitimacy of honor societies, but just know that we are a certified honor society. Not all of them are, that you might be getting invitations to. There is a group called the Association of College Honor Societies that does have strict standards. I'll talk about that a little bit more in a minute. So how did you get here? How are you invited? 3.5 or higher GPA your first semester. So that is the main criteria. Some schools use other criteria, such as the top 20%. That might be the case for South Carolina. I'm not 100% sure. We will be talking a little bit more in depth. I'll pull Rohan into it in a minute around fees, but there's always questions around money. First, let me just at least set the stage by saying that the Alpha Lambda Delta fee is really sort of in two parts. There's two pieces to it, the national fee and then the local fee or the chapter fee. So the national fee for every college student in the world is $30. One time, lifetime, really important that there's no reoccurring charges. So that's $30. And then whatever's above that is what we call the local fee or the chapter fee, and all of that money goes towards the chapter. And I'll have Rohan talk a little bit about that in a minute, about what they give some thoughts, Rohan, to what is that spent on at the campus level. And then, of course, once you're a member for life. Okay, so great resume builder, lots of benefits, which we'll talk about. I'm going to skip over this slide real fast. You do get at its most minimum, what you get out of ALD is a certificate and a pin. So much more than that, but I just wanted to show an image of the custom-made certificate and the little pin that you get, which is very typical of honor societies, membership societies. Induction ceremonies can be a lot of fun. I'm going to skip over these because I believe South Carolina is doing an online one. They can be in person, they could be online. There will be an in-person gathering. Rohan, do you know if that's scheduled yet? Do you have something planned?
So what we're waiting for the materials to come in, and then as of right now, we have a tentative date of the week of April 17th. And so what we will do is we'll have some sort of social event, and during this time, we'll provide food, and then this will also be a time for members who have gone through induction to collect their pins and certificates. And
Right.
so we plan on having one main date that we can do, and then if they're not able to make it to that date, then we have something set up for the future if they're not able to pick it up on the main day for
Right.
handout.
Yeah, perfect. Okay, great. Um, okay. So let's just jump right into the questions that, given my experience with Alpha Lambda Delta and honor societies in general, I'm very familiar with others. I know there are some typical questions that students have, or myths about it or assumptions. So first, some students don't necessarily get that they should care about doing well. Or, I mean, I know you probably care, but is it worth sort of making a big deal of? And we think it is. Like, it's sort of the foundation of what we were founded on 100 years ago, is that it's not easy to do this well your first semester, and it definitely should be recognized and celebrated. It really can set a nice foundation for you, for future success. So starting out so strong, it not, a lot of first year students don't start out real strong, and struggle. So we think it's worth celebrating, and recognizing. So that's sort of the first thing. It's not required that you maintain that GPA. So remember that our minimum was 3.5. Yours might have been 3.6, 3.7, 3.8, 4.0, whatever. If this semester or next year it drops below, that's okay. You're going to be encouraged to maintain it, and there's going to be resources for you. Maybe it might be a goal, like maybe you want to try and graduate with a cumulative 3.5 or higher. But if you don't, and if it does drop below, you don't get kicked out or you don't lose your membership. It's not a requirement that you maintain it. Let me just talk about time, and then I'm going to pull Rohan and to comment on any of these first three bullets, and we'll take it piecemeal. So a huge thing that I hear from students is, you've got a million things going on right now, full course load, a part-time job, a full-time job, you're taking care of family, you've got a lot of other obligations. You get this invitation and you're thinking, I just don't have time for one more thing on my plate. The main thing to know about Alpha Lambda Delta is there are no requirements for involvement. Again, encouraged to. There'll be lots of opportunities to do things, on campus and nationally. Rohan can talk about what they're planning and what they do typically on campus, but it's not required that you attend them. You have to go to a certain number of meetings a month or whatever it is, that you only go to what you want to go to, even if that's nothing at all. Okay, so Ron, let me pull you in on anything about the GPA you want to say, but also the time commitment.
Sure. So, just touching on the GPA a little bit, I mean, we are such a huge organization with hundreds of members, and especially on our leadership team, we have a good bit of diversity when it comes to majors in our leadership team. And so it's always beneficial because, I mean, whatever major you are, you're able to reach out to any one of us or any of the members to either create study groups with them, or if you might, I mean, if you might have a common class with them, you can study with them through that. For GPA, if you want to reach out, I mean, it's not a problem at all. We are more than happy to help, whether it's helping in a certain class or connecting you to certain resources that the school offers for free, to help increase your GPA. As for the time commitment, I would say AOD has very minimal time commitment that we ask of you. Um, in that sense, we have multiple events throughout the semester. Like Eileen mentioned, you choose how many events that you want to go to. We don't have a certain point requirement or things like that, because what we hope to do is how much ever we try to offer and how much you make use of AOD is the amount of benefit you're going to get. So if you're busy on a certain semester and you're not able to go to as many events, that's not a problem at all, because there are plenty of opportunities. We also try to put all of our events towards the evening time, because that's when students tend to have the least amount of classes. And we also try to do things on different days of the week because we understand that certain students are busy on certain days of the week. So maybe if you can't make it to an event on Tuesday and our next event is on a Wednesday, then you might be able to attend that event. For point requirements, like I mentioned, we don't have any point requirements, but when I say that, it does come with a little bit of I guess we do have a goal. So if you get 15 points in your time at AOD, then you will graduate with a cord. And then if you get 30 points, then you will be eligible to get a stole. And so, I mean, certain people find these to be of high value. I personally do as well. And I think it would be a great accomplishment if we get that. And so we have multiple point events throughout the semester, and they can range from 1 to 5 points. We send out a semester or a email in the beginning of the semester, in the fall and in the spring of our tentative events throughout the semester, as well as monthly updates as to when an event will be coming up. So we do try to give out as many reminders as possible without being too pushy, but just wanted to mention that it's not a huge time commitment.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's a really good point. So a lot of chapters in South Carolina is one of them. They'll do point systems where you can go to events and you get points for going, and then the incentive is you do get your own cord or honor stole to wear at graduation, which are very, very popular. So it's provided for you. You can purchase it if you don't get points, but it's not, I mean, it's probably really easy to just go to a few events and get enough points, and then you get that prize at the end. Yeah, and we're going to actually talk about honor cords in a second because I have a good picture of them if you want to see what they look like. Last thing I'll say about time, just to not belabor it too much, is that just keep in mind that your time commitments can really change over time. You're only in your second semester of your freshman year. You're not really absolutely certain what the next 3.5 years are going to look like for you, and it might fluctuate. And so there might be this really cool program they might offer on how to win scholarship money, how to find where scholarships are. There might be a service project that really speaks to you. So there might be all these things that are going on, and in a year, 6 months, 3 years, whatever, that you might want to be a part of. So don't make a decision about your time right now, not knowing exactly what it's really going to be month to month, day to day, year to year for the next couple of years. So, okay. So time and money are the two big things that I hear about. So money. Why do I have to pay a fee? What's the fee for? Or what do I get for that investment? And those are really good, legitimate questions. So remember that the fee is split. So we'll just talk about the 30, and I'm going to have Rohan talk about the other part. So the 30 is, the national fee. And so the certificate, the pin, a perks program, leadership programs, summits, conferences, scholarship opportunities, all sorts of things you get, and that supports the national headquarters, all that we offer students at the national level. And, let me just say that there are no membership honor organizations that don't charge a fee. They all do, because they're all run by a national organization like we are. They have active campus chapters who need funds to operate on the campus. And that is just the nature of a membership organization. It doesn't mean that it's suspect or scam or not legit. It really just is helping support the services that you get for it. So I should know this already. I forget the full fee for South Carolina. Is it 50? 55? Does anybody know? I'll look it up while Rohan's talking. The local fee varies from every school, so every chapter gets to decide their own. So I don't have them all memorized. But whatever it is, while I find out, Rohan, that other part. So let's say it's 50. That means that $20 is for the local chapter. What are some examples of ways that you as students spend that money?
Perfect. So, some of the things that we do throughout the semester, obviously have a cost. So, just to give out some examples, so there have been a couple of service opportunities that we provide. And with this, we do supply drives, toy drives, food drives. And while we do accept donations from students, we try to meet a certain criteria. And so part of this money helps with buying supplies to meet our requirements for the organization or the society that we partner with. We also host a variety of social events. And with these social events, you get to meet more ALD members and get to interact with them, find new friends. And so some of these events include a pumpkin painting like in the fall, sometime in October. In the beginning of the semester, we did letter writing to family, friends, or professors. We have a mug painting upcoming. And so some of these funds go towards purchasing items for members to be able to use during these events. And so it's not, I wouldn't say it's too much, but I would say it's a good amount just so that we have enough funds to be able to host a variety of events for all of our ALD members throughout the year.
Do you have food at a lot of, do you offer a
Oh,
lot of,
absolutely.
yeah,
We
food's usually the biggest thing.
right,
Yeah.
right. We do food and then we also do it for the supplies as well.
Yeah, right. Yeah, those are pretty typical. So it is 25. So if you were in all your invitations you've gotten for joining ALD, you were told that the fee was 55. So it's 30 plus 25. And I'm sure they use that funding to buy the cords and the honor stoles and all that too. So yeah, I mean, food alone, you're gonna eat probably at least $25 worth of food in the next 4 years. So I guess that's the question. Is it worth it to you? Is that a good investment for $55 for a lifetime benefit and membership in this pretty established National Honor Society? Is that worth it to you? And that's a question for you to answer. Do you feel it was worth it? I mean, you're obviously involved, Rohan. Not every student's going to get super involved like he is, but was it worth it to you? I know you're going to say yes, but
Absolutely. I think so. I mean, it's always beneficial to join honor societies. I mean, not only is it a good resume booster, but it also helps you with building connections with other students. Like for example, I mean, I'm on the leadership team. Part of ALD is we all graduate, and so the upcoming freshmen that are going to be joining this organization are going to be fulfilling our roles. And so it's a great way to get some leadership opportunities. ALD offers a variety of scholarships, which is something that you wouldn't really have access to if it weren't for you being involved in the organization. And then also like service events. I mean, it's always good to have a good heart, do some good community service in the area. So, as well as the social events, I mean, it's great to meet new people, like I mentioned. So, I think ALD is well worth it, and I've truly enjoyed my time in ALD.
cool. Yeah. And then again, I just can't reiterate this enough. There are no, your credit card or whatever doesn't get charged. It does in other organizations. That's something to be careful about. But there are no recurring, oops, fees. Just go to the next one. We for obvious reasons, we're Alpha, Lambda, Delta. We got Greek letters. We often sound like a fraternity and sorority. I'm a big fan of fraternities and sororities, but we are not them. We are not a traditional social Greek organization. So just to clarify that, a lot of times students get confused. They also think that they can only join one Greek letter organization. That in the sorority fraternity world, that is true. You join one and that's it. You wouldn't join two fraternities or two sororities. You only join one. But for Greek letter honor societies and any honor organization, even if it's a business fraternity or a service fraternity, I know those are popular. You can join as many as you want of those. There are no limits. So don't confuse it with the social fraternity sorority world, which does limit. These are unlimited. As Rohan mentioned, there are other honor societies you're going to get invited to, particularly in your major. And next year, when you're a junior, and let's say you're in psychology and you do really well in all your psych courses, I bet South Carolina has Psych-Chi, which is the National Honor Society for psychology majors. So you might get invited to that. Yeah, Rohan, do you belong to any other Greek letter or honor organizations?
Yes, ma'am. I'm in Alpha Epsilon Delta, which is our pre-health honor society on campus.
Okay. Mhm.
And so that's for all pre-health majors, pre-med, pre-PA, pre-PT, so all pre-health.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah. So, aren't they all just scams? Well, of course we're not. We're legit. We've been around for a long time. But you know what? There are some. So, there are some sketchy organizations. So, I would just suggest that you be careful about that, or just do some research and do your homework on them. What does that mean? Remember that we're certified. What does that mean? What does it mean if it is a scam? I'm just going to mention a few things to look out for. One is, are they even active at South Carolina? Do they have chapters? Are they run by students like Rohan? Is there any sort of campus presence? Because there's some organizations out there that are blanket emailing millions of college students, and there is no presence on campus. There's no faculty or staff advisor. There's no chapter activity. So that's a money-making scheme usually. So just be careful about that. Were there any grade criteria? Often these organizations don't even look at GPAs. If you got invited and you just happen to have done really well, that might be a coincidence because talk to some of your friends, they probably got invited even with a 2.5 or a 3.0. So they aren't really honor organizations and they're not checking on criteria at all. Are they governed by a board of directors or, your peers, students and faculty and staff around the country? Are they a 501c3 nonprofit organization? Do they have a PO box for their address? Just certain things to look out for. So just sort of do your homework because there are some sketchy ones that will continue to charge your credit card even though you weren't aware of that. Rohan, did you get sketchy emails when you were a freshman?
I did. I absolutely did. And I mean, that was the main thing that I did was I just looked it up and I asked students around me whether they've heard of these organizations. And most times you'll be able to figure out by asking other people whether they're involved in it or not, and then how much of an actual honor society they are. So that's how I knew Alpha Lambda Delta was not a scam because I was able to reach out to a couple of friends who were already in the organization and I was able to get good insight from them as to what all ALD has to offer. And so that's why I'm currently involved in this and not in other honor societies that are scams.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. So we've talked about this whole thing about, I mean, I don't want to discourage you from being involved because you will get a lot out of it. But even if you don't, if you just don't have the time, it is still a value for you, particularly for your resume. There's going to be probably a category, there should be a heading or category on your resume of honors or recognitions or merit or, whatever that heading might be. Alpha Lambda Delta is going to be maybe your first thing on there, unless you're pulling in some high school things, which is good too. But we are known. I mean, I do hear from employers, they recognize us. We've got 1.3 million members. So those are employers and grad school applicant reviewers and all sorts of people. So it is going to benefit you. Last thing I'll say is the transfer thing. So that's a common question. Your membership follows you. So remember that you're a member for life. So no matter where you go, if you do transfer out of South Carolina, if you go to a school that has a chapter, you could let us know. We'll connect you and then you could be involved and participate in that chapter if you want or not. And if you go to a school without a chapter, two things. You can join what we call our national chapter, which is just a way to keep you in the loop and hear about announcements and things we've got going on. Again, if you want, you just let us know. And if you go someplace that doesn't have a chapter, it might be a really cool experience for you to help us start one because we're always looking to expand. And that's a great leadership experience for you. A student just did that at Cal State Northridge, transferred and is helping us. It installs in a couple weeks. It's a brand new chapter that he transferred into and he's getting started. So it's pretty cool. Rohan, before I move to the next slide, anything more on resume enhancing and anything there?
Just like I mentioned before, I mean, it is a great opportunity. ALD has a lot to offer, whether it's social service, and leadership or leadership opportunities. And these are things that are great resume builders. I mean, being involved in service, or being involved in ALD, you'll be able to access a lot of service events that will be pretty similar throughout. And one thing that people look for is continuity in your service. And so that's one thing that we like to value. So we do tend to have the same service events throughout the semester. So that way you can build on your resume like one or two main things, as well as, like I mentioned, we all are students and we all do graduate. And so this is a great opportunity for you to get some leadership experience. Whether you start off in maybe a different role rather than like president or vice president, maybe starting off as like a social media chair or a merchandise chair. These are all still leadership opportunities, and they are very beneficial because they help you develop your leadership skills. And so I would say that is also a very great resume builder.
Good. Yeah. I completely forgot that we do Amazon gift card giveaways. So if you want to be entered, what we ask is that you just put your name in chat, just your full name, so I can find you in the invitation, and I can find your email. So that's the thing we're doing, is the gift card. I meant to start out with that, but I forgot. So just to wrap things up, I'm just going to run through some slides really quickly. These are all on our website, so I don't want to just read our website to you at all, but just go to National ALD. That's our website and social media, National ALD. Thanks, Diego. We have this really cool leadership certificate series, self-paced. You could be a nationally certified student leader. If you wanted to complete this series, it's self-paced. You could take the next 2.5, 3 years to do it. Lots of scholarship opportunities that you can apply for. We have this perks program that's definitely going to, pay for your $55. You're going to save at least $55 on your membership fee if you participate in perks. It's just discounts on all sorts of things, and it comes with your membership. Pizza and restaurants and oil changes and health products and all sorts of things that are discounts that will definitely save a lot over time. We have a lot of career development content on our website. This is a little known fact that if you ever work for the federal government, being a member of Alpha Lambda Delta automatically starts you at a GS7 level instead of GS5, which is a significant pay increase. We've talked about the resume. We've talked about volunteer opportunities. We do offer a couple leadership events that you might be interested in. One's coming up on April 23rd, a Sunday afternoon, really great keynote speaker, all online, free, and open to all students. And then a conference in person. It's in a different city every year. This year it's in Denver, Colorado. It's always in October. Next year I think it's in Chicago. We don't have it set yet. So Rohan talked a little bit about campus involvement. Anything else you want to say there? You've mentioned a few examples of things that the chapter does. So service, you said, what kind of service do you do?
So, like I mentioned, we
Oh,
do
the writing, yeah.
service drives. So, we've done a toy drive, we've done a food drive, like canned food drive, and we are planning a supply drive, so like medical supplies. That's going to be coming up at the end of the semester, as well as we volunteered at Harvest Hope before, and we're starting to get involved with a few more organizations around Columbia. And so what we hope to do is increase the amount of campus involvement that we have. Uh, for example, one thing that we were looking to into is Final Victory, which is an animal shelter. So going there, volunteering there, which includes playing with the animals like dogs, taking them on walks. So they're all fun service events. They usually last for maybe an hour, and then they also come with a certain point value. So this adds up to your points in order to achieve a quarter a stole. And so, like I mentioned, it's not too much of a requirement. It's also spread out on different days, different times, so that we try to make it available to as many students as possible. But yeah.
Yeah, cool. And I think I have a picture of oh, just to say, yeah, Rohan, what are you graduating? May of next year or this year?
Yes, ma'am, May of next year, so May
Next year.
2024.
Okay. So you can see like Alpha Lambda Delta, the benefits of it are not just in your first year. I mean, the majority of stuff you might be interested in going to tend to be in your sophomore year, but you're encouraged, and there'll be lots of things to do for the next 3.5 years. It's not just for first years. So that's a picture of our honor cord, and you can see over here a stole and a medallion. We do medallions, stoles, and cords, all very popular to wear when you graduate. I would strongly encourage you to check us out on social media. We're pretty active on Instagram. We do a lot of fun things there. Why Join Wednesday, Study Tip Sunday, Spotlight Saturday, DEIB stuff. So we're at National ALD. Check us out on any of our social media. Timelines, I believe South Carolina is asking for you all to consider and make your decision by April 12th. So you've got a couple weeks to do that. Last but not least, that's our text line, 7780. If you have any questions, Rohan, would you be willing to put your email in chat?
Yes, ma'am. I'll do that right now. I'll put my email in, and feel free to reach out with any questions that you might have, whether it's anything about dues, anything about more involvement on campus, or anything in general, whether it's academics. Please feel free to reach out to me, and I'll share it with our leadership team if necessary, and we will get back to you with a response in a timely manner.
Cool. Great. Okay, so for the recording, it's rnath@email.sc.edu. So rnath@email.sc.edu.